What is going on, guys? It is your boy Knockout 360 here with another video. So as you can tell, I'm in the car. That makes this a car vlog. You already know what's going down when I come around. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets, and anything and everything car related happens on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure that you stick around because you're in the right place. For everyone else, hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, right? So let's talk about it. First off, I want to mention this did not happen in Charlotte, North Carolina. This took place in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, which is up the street. That's about what? That's like 85 going towards like Virginia and all that stuff. That had nothing to do with us. Charlotte's in the clear this time, but it did happen so close to home that everybody was talking about it, man, at least in my group chat or whatever. So long story short, if you know anything about what happened in Charlotte a couple months ago, people were doing highway takeovers. And the highway takeovers is ultimately when a group of cars, Chargers, Challengers, Camaros, Mustangs, imports, whatever you want, get together and they basically stop in the middle of a busy highway and they take it over. They do burnouts, drifting, sliding, the whole nine in the middle of the highway, and they back up traffic for miles and miles. We tried that in Charlotte and it was successful up until the Instagram videos started going, not necessarily viral, but people were stupid enough to be putting Instagram videos up, and Instagram videos had the cars, the car makes, the car colors, tags, actual people in there. You could see faces and hear voices and all that stuff. Long story short, North Carolina Highway Patrol worked with CMPD, tracked those people down, arrested them, and that's what led to CMPD being, you know, a little more suspicious for the car community, and what ultimately led to over 60-something cars being impounded and over 70 people going to jail for street racing and shit like that. And that's ultimately what kind of shut down the car community in Charlotte, right? That's why you haven't been seeing me do any car show or crazy shit type videos, because everybody in Charlotte, we're still scared from that. I mean, people are still suffering from PTSD. Even the small stuff that you see me doing, when I tell you we show up to these spots and we start looking for cameras and undercover cops and all this stuff like that, we still do that. But Raleigh, Durham, they don't really care. That doesn't pertain to them, right? Because they're further up that way. They're not in Charlotte. So long story short, I think this took place this past weekend. A bunch of cars decided to take over I-40. I-40 is a big highway in the Raleigh-Durham area, RDU, whatever they call it up there. And they took it over. And of course, what cars do you see taking it over? Dodge Chargers. Look like Scat Packs, and probably not a Hellcat. I highly doubt they got a Hellcat in that crew. But look like some Scats, probably some RTs taking it over. Long story short, they blocked the highway down so long that people started panicking, as people would do. Called the cops, state troopers show up, troopers chase down basically the whole entire squad, and they were able to get two cars. One of them crashed, I think. Got two guys, both of them arrested, both of their cars impounded. One was a damn minor, he was a child. And the other one, they haven't released anything about it, but they did get two guys. They got license plates. They got videos on Instagram, which is to me is some of the dumbest stuff that you could ever do. You're literally incriminating yourself. Like, these days in time, I'm not taking anything from police departments or anything. I'm sure those guys do hard work, undercover reconnaissance, intel, stuff like that. But we make it really easy for them these days. You know what I'm saying? Because the first thing we want to do is put our shit up on Instagram. We've got tags, we've got car makes, raps, all that stuff. And then of course, people's voices. And then of course, when you upload something to your Instagram page, it's your page. So 9 times out of 10, it's your video that you filmed. So that means you were there. So you were at least a spectator. If you were not participating in it, you were at least a spectator, which to my understanding, that might actually be illegal too. When you're spectating at like an illegal car racing, drag racing event or something like that. Not enough to get anything to stick to your record, but I mean, certainly enough to probably get you arrested and, you know, do an overnighter. But what I'm saying is that's the type of stuff that gets car scenes shut down, you know, shit like that. And especially when it goes locally viral, right? Like, it's not viral in the sense that people in California are watching it or nothing like that. But it's viral in the sense that it's gotten enough media attention to where police officers now have to look for that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? In Charlotte, we were doing whatever we were doing. We were doing the racing. We were doing the burnouts, the crazy car meets. You guys know I was filming all of that stuff. We were doing all of that and everything was Gucci. But as soon as they took over the highway and it went viral locally, of course, in Charlotte, The media got a hold of it. People started calling in to the media stations and saying, I've got video of this stuff. I was in that traffic jam. I was so scared for my life. People were calling into the police. It's one thing when you're doing an illegal car meet and maybe one or two people call the cops, and then cops show up and then everybody disperses, the night's over with. It's another thing when you're on a major highway. To my understanding, in Charlotte, they did it on 485, which is a major highway. And they shut down that highway. It may have been 77. I think it was 485. I hope it wasn't 77, because 77 is just as big of a highway in Charlotte. But they did it on 485, I believe. They shut down the highway. Cars are backed up for miles and miles. Fortunately, nobody had any sort of medical emergency where, like, the ambulance or something like that couldn't get through. But that's the kind of picture that, a police officer will paint, is that when you back up traffic like that, it inherently blocks the ability for emergency vehicles to get through, which is very true. Fortunately, neither one of those situations warranted an emergency vehicle, firefighter, ambulance, anything like that, or a police officer. But it brings so much attention to the car community. That's when stuff starts getting hot in your particular city. And that's what happened in Charlotte. Once that video went viral and then the media outlets got a hold of it, people started calling in, Facebook group chats, all that shit started blowing up. That's when CMPD started setting up the undercover rings and scams and cameras and all that shit at car shows and car meets and stuff like that. Started taking license plates, car makes and model, people's Instagrams, things like that. And then just started building a case against the whole car community, which ultimately led to where we are now, to where the only thing we have in Charlotte right now is goddamn cars and coffee. So that's just kind of a warning to what's going on in Raleigh and Durham. Just be careful with that type of stuff, because although it's fun in the moment, in the long run, you will suffer. And that goes for any city or state that's doing that type of shit. Like crazy car meets, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? I love the content. You're never going to see me swinging. I don't swing my $50,000, Dodge Charger. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? When I trade this in, I want to be able to trade it in with a clean record so that I can get what I want to get. Not, well, I've got some axle issues. And I've seen guys that swing and do burnouts all the time, and, brakes are fucked up, axles fucked up, just car transmissions all messed up. You're never going to see that on this channel from me. I'll film it all day long, but you're never going to see me doing that type of shit, But this is just kind of a warning. Like, stuff like that is what gets car meets and just kind of car communities in general shut down, because there's only but so many places in a particular city where cars can show up and show out. And once police officers get a hold of those spots, it's a wrap. Like, we used to have this huge spot in Charlotte right outside of like Carowinds Boulevard, right? If you're familiar with Charlotte in that area, Carowinds, the amusement park. On the other side of Carowinds was like a big manufacturing plant. And we used to go there all the time, do crazy car meets. And I'm talking about, this parking lot was so big, we were easily getting little under 500-600 cars in a lot and just having a blast. Cops couldn't show up because they didn't care. They were like, listen, those guys in the manufacturing plant, they're not bothering anybody. Nobody's complaining. Nobody's calling us. We're not going to fuck with them. Obviously, they knew we were there, because when you got 600 cars following each other on the highway going to one place, something's up. But they didn't care. But once CMPD started taking notice of the car community and started setting up all of these spots, that particular location built literally 18 different speed ramps or speed bumps in the middle of the road on their in their parking lot, so that, it would stop people from speeding. It would stop people from doing donuts, burnouts, all that shit. And that basically shut down the car meets at that spot, So once you mess up, cops take notice, business owners take notice, and then before you know it, you've lost your spot, you've lost the community as a whole, and you're in the situation that we're in. Like right now, we have little shit meets on Friday with a bunch of imports and Hondas. No disrespect to them, but nobody goes to that shit. At least nobody that I run with goes to it, because it's not worth it. There's nothing going on over there. So that's just what I'm saying, guys. Just be careful with the crazy shit. It's cool in the moment, it's fun, it's all that stuff, but it's not worth it, because once you get that media attention, it's a wrap. Because then the state troopers, cops, your local cops, they have to take action, because at that point it almost looks like they're not doing their job, right? So when you get out there and you do that crazy stuff and people start calling the cops and writing in, and they got media attention, police officers have to respond swiftly and with some sort of force, right? Because they can't keep allowing stuff like that to happen. They can't set a precedent that you're in control, right? And we're just going to get one or two of you every other weekend, and then the next weekend you get out there and do something stupid. They have to be swift and to the point with their action, and that's what you don't want. That's what happened in Charlotte, and that's why 60, 70 people right now haven't seen their cars since March. You know what I'm saying? So just FYI, just be cool. You had your fun. You lost 2 guys, 2 cars, whatever the case may be. Don't do that shit, man. Highway takeovers is a no-go. That's a quick way to get the car community shut down. But, you know, that's just me. What do I know? It's your Benny Boy Knockout 360, man. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.